This world does not reward kindness, it punishes it. But those who master coldness, they rise. Look around you. The warm-hearted get walked over. The generous get taken advantage of. The nice guys finish last, while the cold, calculating minds sit at the top of every power structure you can imagine. Warmth makes you predictable, and predictable people get used, manipulated and discarded when they're no longer useful. But coldness? Coldness makes you feared. It makes you respected. It makes you untouchable. Today, I'm going to reveal the 7 Machiavellian lessons that will transform you into someone dangerously cold, someone impossible to manipulate, impossible to exploit, and impossible to ignore. These aren't just theories from a 500-year-old book. These are the exact principles that separate the wolves from the sheep in every boardroom, every relationship, and every power game being played right now. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the most successful people in history weren't the kindest. They were the coldest. You'll learn how to weaponize silence, how to control every conversation before it even starts, and how to build a reputation so intimidating that people think twice before they even consider crossing you. This isn't about becoming heartless. This is about becoming strategic. This is about choosing power over pity. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments: power over pity. Now, let's dive into the first lesson that will change how you see the world forever. Number 1. The harsh reality of warmth. Here's the truth that will make you uncomfortable. Your warmth is being used against you every single day. Think about it. When you're warm and open, what happens? People know exactly what buttons to push. They know your weaknesses. They know how to get what they want from you. Your kindness becomes their roadmap to manipulation. But when you're cold, when you're unreadable, people can't figure out your angle. They can't predict your moves. They can't use your emotions against you. And that uncertainty, that's where your power lives. Let me paint you a picture. You've got 2 friends who both want to borrow money from you. Friend A comes to you with tears in their eyes, telling you about their problems, making you feel guilty, pulling at your heartstrings. They know exactly which emotional buttons to push because you've shown them all your soft spots. Friend B simply states their situation, explains exactly what they need the money for, gives you a clear timeline for payback, and accepts whatever decision you make without trying to guilt-trip you. Here's what happens with friend A. They get the money because you feel bad saying no. But when it's time to pay you back, there's always another sob story, another crisis, another reason why they can't pay you yet. Your warmth made you an easy target. Friend B, they might not get the money immediately, but if they do, they pay it back exactly when they said they would. They respect your boundaries because you've shown them that you have boundaries. This isn't theory. This is human nature. We respect what we can't fully understand. We fear what we can't control. And we promote what we respect and fear over what we pity. Machiavelli once said, "He who is the cause of another becoming powerful is ruined." Think about that. Every time you make someone else powerful at your expense, every time you say yes when you should say no, every time you help someone who wouldn't help you, every time you show all your cards, you're setting yourself up to be discarded. Your warmth isn't making you loved, it's making you useful, and useful people get used up. The dangerous truth is this: nice people are used, cold people are obeyed. Warmth invites exploitation, coldness commands respect. From today forward, understand that every interaction is a power dynamic. Either you're gaining power or you're losing it. There's no neutral ground. Your warmth is giving away power that you should be keeping for yourself. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Coldness protects me. Number 2. The cold genius mindset. Most people live their lives as victims of circumstance. Something bad happens and they ask, "Why me?" They get betrayed and they cry about it. They fail and they make excuses. But cold minds think differently. They don't ask, "Why me?" They ask, "How can I use this?" They don't see betrayal as tragedy. They see it as intelligence gathering. They don't see failure as defeat. They see it as data. This is the cold genius mindset. Everything that happens to you is information you can use to your advantage. Got betrayed by a friend? Good. Now you know exactly who they are and what they're capable of. That's valuable intelligence. Got passed over for a promotion? Perfect. Now you know the game being played and can adjust your strategy accordingly. Got your heart broken? Excellent. Now you understand the cost of vulnerability and can protect yourself better next time. See how this works? While everyone else is crying about their problems, you're collecting data. While they're playing victim, you're playing chess. The key is to kill your victim mentality completely. Victim mentality is warm thinking. It's emotional. It's reactive. It's weak. Cold thinking is strategic. It's calculating. It's proactive. It's powerful. When something goes wrong in your life, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "What can I learn from this?" And, "How can I turn this to my advantage?" This shift in perspective changes everything about how you move through the world. You stop being reactive and start being strategic. You stop letting other people's actions determine your emotional state. You become someone who turns every obstacle into an advantage and every setback into a setup for a comeback. Most people let their emotions drive their decisions, and that's why most people stay stuck in the same patterns year after year. They make the same mistakes, fall for the same tricks, and wonder why their life never changes. Machiavelli once said, "A wise man does at once what a fool does at last." This is the difference between warm and cold thinking. Warm thinking reacts. Cold thinking anticipates. Warm thinking waits for permission. Cold thinking takes control. Instead of getting angry when someone disrespects you, you calmly cut them out of your life and watch them scramble to figure out what happened. Instead of complaining about unfair treatment, you document everything and use it as leverage when the right moment comes. Instead of being hurt by someone's lies, you let them keep lying while you gather evidence of their dishonesty for future use. Every betrayal becomes a lesson in human nature. Every setback becomes a test of your resilience. Every disappointment becomes fuel for your determination to never be caught off guard again. The cold genius doesn't waste emotional energy on things they can't control. They save that energy for the moves that actually matter. They study patterns, predict outcomes, and position themselves to win regardless of what chaos surrounds them. Every betrayal becomes intelligence. Every loss becomes calculation. Every failure becomes evolution. The cold genius doesn't waste time on emotions that don't serve them. They upgrade fast, adapt quickly, and always stay 3 steps ahead of everyone who's still stuck in their feelings. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I upgrade fast. Number 3. When emotions betray you. Your emotions are lying to you. Every single day, they're feeding you false information that's keeping you weak, keeping you vulnerable, and keeping you from the success you deserve. The reality is, your emotions evolved to help you survive in caves, not to help you thrive in boardrooms. Your emotional responses are designed for a world that no longer exists. And in today's world, emotions are a liability you can't afford. Think about the last time you made a decision based on how you felt in the moment. How did that work out for you? Chances are not very well. Because emotions cloud judgment. They make you focus on comfort instead of results. They make you choose what feels good over what actually works. But results? Results never lie. Results don't care about your feelings. Results don't care about fairness. Results only care about what actually happened, not what you wished would happen. This is why cold minds trust results over emotions. They don't make decisions based on how they feel. They make decisions based on what works. They don't choose comfort. They choose effectiveness. Let me give you an example. You're in a relationship with someone who treats you poorly, but you love them. Your emotions tell you to stay, to try harder, to believe they'll change. Your emotions tell you that leaving would be cruel, that you should give them another chance, that maybe things will get better. But the results tell a different story. The results show you a pattern of disrespect. The results show you someone who takes advantage of your warmth. The results show you that nothing has changed despite your efforts. A cold mind trusts the results. A cold mind doesn't waste time on false hope. A cold mind cuts losses quickly and moves on to better opportunities. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear." Here's what he understood that most people don't. Fear is more reliable than love. Love can be faked, manipulated, turned on and off. But fear is honest. Fear is consistent. Fear gets results. This doesn't mean you should be cruel for the sake of being cruel. It means you should be strategic about when and how you show emotion. Your emotions should serve your goals, not the other way around. When you feel the urge to be nice to someone who doesn't deserve it, pause. Ask yourself, what result am I trying to achieve here? If being nice doesn't get you closer to your goal, don't be nice. When you feel the urge to avoid a difficult conversation because it might hurt someone's feelings, pause. Ask yourself, what happens if I don't have this conversation? If avoiding it creates bigger problems later, have the conversation. Comfort is weakness. Clarity is power. The cold mind chooses clarity every single time. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Results over relief. Number 4. Silence as a weapon. Most people are terrified of silence. They fill every pause with words, every gap with noise, every moment of tension with nervous chatter, and in doing so, they give away all their power. But silence? Silence is a weapon. And when you learn to wield it properly, you become dangerous. Silence creates discomfort, and people will do almost anything to fill that discomfort. They'll reveal information they shouldn't reveal. They'll make promises they shouldn't make. They'll give you exactly what you want just to make the silence stop. Think about the last time you were in a negotiation. Who spoke first after the offer was made? Whoever spoke first lost. Because speaking first reveals anxiety. It shows weakness. It shows you're uncomfortable with the silence. But when you stay silent, when you let that uncomfortable pause stretch just a little longer than everyone expects, you create psychological pressure that works in your favor. Silence is intimidation without aggression. It's control without confrontation. It's power without violence. Let me show you how this works in practice. Someone asks you a question that you don't want to answer directly. Instead of immediately responding, you pause. You look at them. You let the silence build. And then, when you finally speak, your words carry more weight because they had to wait for them. Or someone makes an unreasonable request. Instead of immediately saying no and explaining why, you stay silent. You let them sit with their request. You let them hear how it sounds in the quiet. More often than not, they'll start backtracking on their own. This is the power of cold silence. It makes people uncomfortable. and uncomfortable people make mistakes. They reveal their true intentions. They show their weak spots. They give you information you can use. But here's the key. Your silence has to come from a place of control, not from a place of fear. There's a difference between strategic silence and anxious silence. Strategic silence is calculated. It's purposeful. It's a choice. Anxious silence is reactive. It's defensive. It's a default. When you master strategic silence, you gain something incredibly valuable: unpredictability. People can't figure out what you're thinking. They can't anticipate your next move. They can't use your reactions against you. Machiavelli once said, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception." Your silence is a form of deception. It hides your true thoughts while gathering intelligence about everyone else's. Emotional control equals psychological dominance. When you can sit comfortably in silence while everyone else squirms, you're the one in control of the room. Practice this, starting today. In your next conversation, when someone asks you something, pause before answering. Count to 3 in your head. Watch how that pause changes the dynamic. Watch how much more attention people pay to your words when they have to wait for them. Your silence should feel like a threat to those who oppose you and like wisdom to those who respect you. It should make weak people nervous and strong people curious. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence cuts. Number 5. The hidden formula of power. Power isn't luck. Power isn't inherited. Power isn't given. Power is calculated. And there's a formula for it that most people never figure out. Here's the formula. Understand human nature faster than everyone else. Then use that understanding to predict and influence behavior. Every human being is driven by the same basic forces: fear and desire. Fear of loss, fear of pain, fear of being exposed, fear of being left behind, and desire for gain, desire for pleasure, desire for recognition, desire for security. When you can identify someone's primary fears and desires faster than they can hide them, you hold the keys to their behavior. You know exactly what buttons to push to get the response you want. Most people spend their lives trying to hide their fears and desires. They put up masks. They create false personas. They pretend to want things they don't actually want. But a cold mind sees through all of that. A cold mind studies patterns. A cold mind reads between the lines. Let me give you an example. You're dealing with someone who acts tough, who talks about how they don't need anyone, who claims they're completely self-sufficient. What's their real fear? Dependence. What's their real desire? To be needed by others while never needing anyone themselves. Once you understand this, you know exactly how to handle them. You don't challenge their independence directly. That would trigger their defenses. Instead, you position yourself as someone who can help them feel more independent. You give them ways to help you that make them feel valuable while never making them feel like they owe you anything. This is power. This is influence. This is control. The key is to study people the way a scientist studies specimens. Watch their body language. Listen to what they don't say. Notice what makes them uncomfortable. Pay attention to what they brag about, because what people brag about reveals what they're insecure about. Someone who constantly talks about how much money they make. They're insecure about their financial status. Someone who always mentions how many friends they have. They're afraid of being alone. Someone who won't stop telling you how smart they are. They doubt their own intelligence. Once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. And once you can't unsee them, you have power over everyone who still thinks they're hiding successfully. Machiavelli once said, "Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times." This is crucial. The same approach doesn't work with everyone. You have to adapt your strategy based on what drives each individual person. With someone driven by fear, you provide security. With someone driven by ego, you provide recognition. With someone driven by greed, you provide opportunity. You become whatever they need you to be to get what you want from them. This isn't manipulation. This is strategic communication. This is speaking people's language instead of forcing them to speak yours. The cold mind doesn't waste time wishing people were different. The cold mind accepts people as they are and works within that reality to achieve their goals. Start practicing this today. Pick 3 people in your life and try to identify their primary fear and their primary desire. Watch how they behave. Listen to what they complain about. Notice what they spend their time and money on. The patterns will become obvious once you know what to look for. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I calculate power. Number 6. Reputation is armor. Your reputation arrives before you do. It walks into every room ahead of you. It influences every conversation about you that happens when you're not there. And it determines whether people see you as someone to respect or someone to ignore. Most people think reputation is about being liked. They're wrong. Reputation is about being respected, and respect comes from being seen as someone who can't be messed with. When your reputation precedes you, you don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to prove yourself in every situation. You don't have to waste energy convincing people to take you seriously. They already do. Think about the most powerful people you know, not necessarily the most successful in terms of money, but the most powerful in terms of influence. What do they all have in common? People think twice before they cross them. People consider the consequences before they disrespect them. People know that messing with them comes with a cost. That's what a cold reputation does. It creates consequences without you having to create them yourself. But most people get wrong. They think building a powerful reputation means being loud, aggressive, or intimidating. That's amateur hour. True power is quiet. True power doesn't need to announce itself. True power is felt, not heard. The most dangerous people in any room are the ones you barely notice until you need something from them or until you make the mistake of underestimating them. They don't waste energy on small battles. They don't react to every provocation. They choose their moments carefully, and when they strike, it's devastating. This is the reputation you want to build. Someone who is quietly competent, strategically patient, and ruthlessly effective when action is required. Here's how you build this kind of reputation. You keep your promises, even when it's inconvenient. You never make threats you're not prepared to follow through on. You speak less and accomplish more. You solve problems instead of creating them. And when someone crosses a line, you respond with calculated precision, not emotional reaction. People start to notice. They start to realize that you're different. You're not like everyone else who talks big but delivers small. You're not like the people who make excuses when things get difficult. You're someone who gets results quietly and efficiently. Machiavelli once said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." This is about association. The company you keep reflects your standards. The people you associate with either add to your reputation or detract from it. If you surround yourself with weak people, you'll be seen as weak. If you surround yourself with mediocre people, you'll be seen as mediocre. If you surround yourself with people who command respect, you'll be seen as someone who commands respect. This doesn't mean you can't be friendly with people at different levels. It means you're strategic about who you're publicly associated with and who you're seen taking advice from. Your reputation should intimidate mediocrity. Average people should feel slightly uncomfortable around you, not because you're mean to them, but because your standards make their lack of standards obvious. Excellence makes mediocrity nervous. Discipline makes lazy people feel judged. Consistency makes unreliable people feel exposed. Use this to your advantage. Build a reputation that strikes before you even speak. Build a presence that makes people check themselves before they approach you. Build standards that inspire respect and caution in equal measure. Number 7. Control the frame. Here's the ultimate power move. Don't join their debate. Decide what the debate is about. Most people spend their lives reacting to other people's agendas. Someone brings up a topic and they respond to it. Someone asks a question and they answer it. Someone sets the terms of an interaction and they accept those terms. This is weak thinking. This is warm thinking. This is giving away control before the conversation even starts. Cold minds don't react. They set the frame. They don't respond to other people's agendas. They create their own agenda and make everyone else respond to it. Let me show you what this looks like. Someone comes to you with a complaint about something you did. Instead of getting defensive and explaining yourself, which is what they expect, you reframe the conversation entirely. You say something like, "I can see you're upset. What do you think would be the most productive way to handle this moving forward?" Notice what just happened. They wanted to make the conversation about your mistake. You made it about finding solutions. They wanted to put you in the defensive position. You took control and put yourself in the leadership position. This is frame control. This is deciding what the conversation is really about, instead of letting someone else decide for you. Here's another example. Someone tries to pressure you into making a quick decision by saying, "I need an answer right now." Instead of feeling pressured and making a rushed choice, you say, "I understand timing is important to you. Let me look at my calendar and see when I can give this the attention it deserves." They tried to make the frame about urgency. You made it about quality and thoughtfulness. They tried to rush you. You slowed things down to your pace. The person who controls the frame controls the outcome. It's that simple. But frame control goes beyond just conversations. It's about controlling the entire narrative of your life and your interactions. It's about being proactive instead of reactive. It's about making people play your game instead of you playing theirs. In negotiations, you don't accept their first offer and then negotiate from there. You reframe the entire discussion around value and outcomes. In relationships, you don't chase people who are pulling away. You create value that makes them want to come closer. In conflicts, you don't get dragged into their emotional drama. You stay calm and focus on facts and solutions. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does it once, what the fool does finally." The wise man sets the frame immediately. The fool accepts whatever frame is given to them and spends their time trying to work within someone else's rules. This is why coldness gives you narrative control. When you're not emotionally invested in other people's reactions, you can step back and see the bigger picture. You can see what game is being played and decide whether you want to play it or change the rules entirely. Frame control is about leading every interaction instead of following. It's about being the person who sets the agenda instead of the person who responds to someone else's agenda. Practice this starting today. In your next conversation, instead of immediately responding to what someone says, pause and ask yourself, what frame are they trying to set? And what frame would serve me better? Then steer the conversation in that direction. When someone asks you a question you don't want to answer, don't refuse to answer. Ask them a better question. When someone tries to make you defend a position you don't want to defend, don't argue. Reframe the entire discussion. Remember, you set the rules of engagement for your own life. If you don't like the game being played, change the game. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I set rules. Finally, becoming dangerously cold. Now you understand the 7 lessons, but understanding them intellectually isn't enough. You need to embody them. You need to become them. You need to transform from someone who knows about coldness to someone who is dangerously cold. True coldness isn't about being emotionless. It's not about being cruel. It's not about shutting down your humanity. True coldness is about being precise, unreadable, and strategic. It's about emotional precision, feeling what serves you and dismissing what doesn't. It's about strategic communication, saying exactly what needs to be said, nothing more, nothing less. It's about calculated risk-taking, making moves that others are too afraid to make because you've already considered all the angles. When you become dangerously cold, your silence becomes a threat. Not because people fear you'll hurt them, but because they can't predict what you're thinking or what you'll do next. Unpredictability is power. Your absence becomes a warning. When you're not in the room, people wonder what you're planning. They wonder if they should be concerned. They wonder if they've done something to earn your disapproval. This is influence without effort. Your presence becomes domination, not through aggression or intimidation, but through undeniable competence and unshakable confidence. People naturally defer to someone who clearly has their life together and knows exactly what they're doing. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It requires constant practice and conscious choice. Every day, you have to choose calculation over reaction. Every interaction, you have to choose strategy over emotion. Every challenge, you have to choose growth over comfort. But when you commit to this path, when you truly embrace these lessons and make them part of who you are, something extraordinary happens. You stop being someone who gets played and start being someone who plays the game at a level most people don't even know exists. Machiavelli once said, "Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony." This reveals the cold truth about human nature. People care more about what affects them directly than what doesn't. Understanding this allows you to predict behavior and influence outcomes in ways that seem almost supernatural to those who haven't studied the game. The world doesn't belong to the kind or the loud. It belongs to the dangerously cold. It belongs to those who understand that power is not given. It's taken by those smart enough to know how to take it and cold enough to do what's necessary to keep it. You now have the tools, you have the knowledge, you have the blueprint for transformation. The question isn't whether these lessons work. They've worked for centuries. The question is whether you have the discipline to apply them consistently and the courage to become the person you're capable of becoming. If this video changed how you see power and influence, you need to hit that like button right now. This is just the beginning. If you want to continue developing this level of strategic thinking, if you want more lessons on psychology, influence, and the hidden rules that govern success, then you absolutely need to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Share this video with someone who needs to understand these truths, but be selective about who you share it with. These lessons are powerful, and powerful knowledge should only be given to people who will use it responsibly. Drop your favorite lesson from this video in the comments below. Tell me which one hit hardest and which one you're going to start applying immediately. I read every comment, and your insights help me create even better content for this community. The choice is yours. Stay warm and predictable, or become dangerously cold and unstoppable. Until next time, remember, the world belongs to those who play by different rules. Untouchable mind.